I call this meeting of the Hurst-Euless-Bedford Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Good evening to everyone. Thank you for making it out on such a stormy and ugly night. We appreciate you being here. We're going to start our meeting with an invocation by Bishop Michael Smith from the Church of Jesus of Latter-day Saints.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we are grateful for the opportunity and privilege we have to meet together this evening at this school board meeting of the HEB Independent School District. We are grateful, Father, for the blessings we receive by thy hand and for the opportunities we each have to serve in the community. And we ask that thou would bless us individually and collectively as we discuss the important matters pertaining to the school board, that things might be understood and taken in the manner that they are intended. And we are grateful for our Savior Jesus Christ, for his atoning sacrifice, and for the opportunity that we have to celebrate the birth of thy Son at this time. And these things we say in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Bishop Smith. Next, we will have our Pledge of Allegiance, which tonight will be led by two students from Euless Junior High, Trinity Green and Lavinia Tukuafu. Are they here? Do we have anyone from Euless Junior High? All right, let's bring our ambassadors up and they can lead our pledge.
I think there's a kid coming.
Huh?
I think there's a...
Are they coming?
One second. Let's get one second.
We might have them here.
No.
Okay.
All right. We'll follow you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you.
Good job, ladies.
Tonight, the Board of Trustees is meeting in a work session and a regularly scheduled monthly meeting to officially act on items included on the posted agenda. The Board welcomes and appreciates comments and input from the community. Open forum is provided at each meeting to allow the public to address the Board. There will be two open forums tonight. Open forum number 1 is to hear requests regarding agenda items only. Open forum number 2 is to hear requests or make comments regarding non-agenda items and will be heard at the end of the meeting. Those addressing the board are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes per meeting. The speaker should identify his or her name, group affiliation if any, and make a brief presentation with an identified solution if one is sought. Remarks should be addressed to the board as a whole. Oral presentations may not include charges against any employee or board member by name. It is my responsibility to determine if the person addressing the board has attempted to resolve a concern informally or through the district's complaint policies. If not, the speaker will be directed to follow the appropriate policy. The board requests that all presentations be made in a courteous, respectful, and professional manner and asks that speakers monitor their own behavior. If you wish to speak during one of the open forums, please fill out one of the cards located on the table in the entry hall. All right, next we're going to review our board activity chart. I'll start with Ms. Wells.
On November 20th, I attended the House District 92 Legislative Send-Off, where we sent off Salman Boljani to Austin. I, on December 3rd, attended the LD Bells boys basketball game, and on December 9th, attended the Board Ambassador Academy session.
Mr. Campos.
This is the time of year when we do a lot of activities, and it's real exciting for our kids. A couple things I just want to mention without repeating other things. I got to attend the Dash for Hope, which has had many different forms put together by a lot of our community, as well as Six Stones, that raise money for our kids. excellent, excellent job that they did. I got to hear the elementary honor choir, and this year it had a brand new person in charge of it, and they sang wonderful. For those of you that don't know, most of our kiddos in the elementary school get together and they form one choir. And I got to hear Christmas music done to a variety of different classical music, including the theme song to the 007s. It was excellent. It was quite awesome. Attended a PTA, the senior breakfast, where we invite seniors from our community to come in and hear and see from our kids and everything that's happening. And that's at our tech center. That always goes over well. They get their picture with Santa. That was really pretty outstanding. I got to attend the Trinity and Allen game and was there a little early. And Mr. Fielder was saying, hey, until everybody else shows up, you're cheering for us and we can all watch you. And that was really exciting because I was attending on the opposite side, about 3 feet away from their fans. So every time I cheered, it was a little different. So a lot of great experiences this time around, and real excited for Christmas break for our kiddos.
Thank you. Ms. Cole?
One other thing, and because I gotta say, because Mr. Cargile won't tell you about it, but this is the time of year where we get asked to participate in spelling bee, and both myself as well as Mr. Cargile got to be judges for the spelling bee, which means we got to put on our little spelling bee hat, and we got to watch amazing kiddos over at Bel Air Elementary School. I just want you to know that I was out by about round 5, but it did go 14 rounds, and just a fantastic job that our kids do, and it was an honor to serve as a judge.
All right, Ms. Cole?
Okay, so I just want to touch a little bit more on something that Ms. Wells mentioned. We had a legislative send-off for Representative Bojani. It was sponsored by Raise Your Hand Texas, and it was held at Trinity High School. And Mr. Pugh and the staff over at Trinity did an amazing job. And our own Chris Brown served as the Masters of Ceremonies for the night. So it was a really great event, and I just wanted to thank those people. I also, the very next day, attended a meeting at Representative Bojani's office, serving on his Legislative Advisory Council. Everything else has been mentioned.
All right, Ms. Ewart? Okay. I wanted to speak about the board ambassadors once again, but I just really wanted to do it to thank our business operations team, Dobie, Josh, Mariella, Justin, and David. They all did a great job presenting and giving a lot of great information to our board ambassadors. Again, the honor choir was great. Senior citizen breakfast is fun, not just because you get to have all the senior citizens in, but you also get to see our culinary arts kids in action, because they're serving and out there making sure everyone's taken care of. So that's a great thing. Not strictly board related, but I did get to attend the UTA basketball game with Miss Wells and see her son play on Saturday. And it was just a happy coincidence the Bedford Junior High basketball teams happened to be there the same night. So so it was fun to see them. All right. Any superintendent comments?
Just a couple other things coming up. You know, we've got Santa being flown into all the elementary schools Wednesday and Thursday, so it's just a great tradition that we continue here in HEB. Last week, we also had all of our Night of Hopes, sponsored by Six Stones, taking care of our kids with our partnerships. So that was really great for many of our students. So really appreciate all that. Partnership between many of our faith-based groups, our churches, and Six Stones.
All right, any clarifications needed?
No additional at this time.
Thank you. I'd like to say a quick thanks to our greeters this evening. You may have noticed 2 students in green blazers as you enter tonight. These students are part of the HEB ISD Student Ambassador Program, which is a select group of students chosen through an application and interview process to be the face of the district. They are trained to assist with public relations and communications services and are given the opportunity to positively promote HEB ISD while developing leadership skills. Tonight we have Courtney Grantland and Natalie Goss, who are both seniors at LD Bell. We've been using this opportunity to hear the voice of our district students by asking the ambassadors a question. This month, our question is, author Derek Silvers says mastery is the best goal because the rich can't buy it, the impatient can't rush it, The privilege can't inherit it, and nobody can steal it. You can only earn it through hard work. Mastery is the ultimate status. Reflect on this statement and tell us how participation in the Student Ambassadors Program is helping you achieve mastery in any area of your life.
Okay, sorry. Hi, my name is Courtney Grantlin, and I'm a senior at LD Bell High School. And I can resonate with Siver's quote about achieving mastery because it touches on something very important, which is that mastery can't be rushed, inherited, stolen, or bought. It can only be achieved through hard work and dedication. As a student ambassador, I've learned that achieving mastery can only be done through a daily process, and it can't be done all at once. The Student Ambassador Program has given me countless opportunities to develop my leadership skills, such as communication, problem solving, and teamwork. These skills can't be obtained overnight, though, and they require time, effort, and a willingness to learn from your mistakes and your successes. For example, I've been able to lead important discussions, help organize events with other team members to bring together the community, and I've been able to listen deeply to my peers on important topics. These experiences have helped me gain confidence in my ability to express my ideas clearly and work collaboratively with others. Every event, interaction, and challenge that I face as an ambassador has helped me build my capacity as a leader, and I'm learning that I can use these skills not only within the Student Ambassador Program, but also through my extracurriculars such as cheer, my schoolwork, as well as my personal relationships. The Student Ambassador Program has taught me that achieving mastery is a process of continuous growth, and I'm so grateful to be able to learn these skills in such a meaningful way. Thank you. All right, hi everybody, my name is Natalie Gause, and I'm a senior at LD Bell High School. And to start, when I was asked the question, I thought about what mastery meant to me, and I often think about the times when my dad would quote a book about how to obtain mastery, it takes 10,000 hours to do something. So when I think about that quote, I think about how, as a first-year ambassador, I have not obtained 10,000 hours of service yet, so I can't claim the fame of mastery to anything within, but I can think about how I've grown as a person through this program. When I first started, I was quite nervous. I've always been outgoing, but I didn't necessarily know how to channel that energy always into something professional and something always for the public. So I think about how our trainings have really taught me how to balance out my passion and my energy and kind of channel it into something that's good. I also use these skills that I gained, leadership and specifically communication skills, with ambassadors in my everyday life, not just in my schoolwork. I think about in IB, I'm in the IB program, and I think about all the skills that I've needed through ambassadors. We have these exams called oral exams, and I think about those oral exams and how I've taken these traits from ambassadors and been able to implement those into even my exams. I think about my personal relationships and my connections because it's often about not what you know, but who you know. And when I'm trying to organize events for my own club, HEB on the Go, I think about how I have to meet other people and how I've had to use these communication skills that I've learned through ambassadors professionally in my own life. I also think it's helped a lot with my relationships with my siblings because now sometimes I can kind of steer away from kind of the bickering and the back and forth with being able to not speak up towards them, but kind of realize, okay, obviously I need to speak in a more professional manner. I need to talk to them in a way in which we can both understand. So humbly, I must admit, I don't think I've mastered anything, but I think through ambassadors, hopefully one day I can master something great and channel it into something bigger. So yeah.
Thank you, Courtney and Natalie. Y'all can see how proud, or why we are so proud of this program and of these students who participate in it. We love seeing you guys go from being juniors to seniors and attending, as many things as we do with you, just seeing the growth, and you are achieving mastery. Those are fantastic answers. Thank you. All right, next we're going to see the HEB ISD 2024 holiday card design. Ms. Cumberledge.
Good evening. Before we recognize these students, I want to give you a little bit of perspective. Thanks to the HEB School Board and the HEB administration in believing and educating the whole child, our elementary students get an opportunity to participate in art and music at every grade. That's over 10,000 students that have the opportunity to create a work of art. Out of that, we have managed to narrow it down by their teachers forwarding their work for us to see. And then from that giant pool, we narrowed it down to about another 100 honorable mentions. You're getting to see, out of 10,000 elementary students, the top artwork in our district. So this is a great recognition, and we're so excited to honor them. Our first finalist is Mason Grant from Bedford Heights Elementary. Now, Mason is doing double duty. He is the star basketball player at Bedford Junior High this year. So Katie Harrell is accepting his award. Oh. And all of this artwork is going to be displayed throughout the district on our district art card and also on our VPA website. Our next finalist is McKinley Gray from Shady Oaks Elementary, and I want to let you know a little bit about this art. McKinley, make sure I've got this right. You created this entire piece of work on an iPad, correct? Take a look at the detail in that. So great job. Okay, I don't think Hayden Hernandez is here, but we want to recognize, oh, come on up, Hayden.
I got a display first, Hayden.
Hayden, I loved the colors you picked in that. And Hayden Hernandez is at Shady Brook Elementary. What grade are you now, Hayden? Sixth grade, so he's a sixth grader at Shady Brook. Our next finalist is Amaya Webster from Lakewood Elementary. Again, great use of color on this piece. Amaya? I think she's ready. Oh, okay, okay. And then Mia, will you come up, please? Out of 10,000 artwork pieces, Mia was selected as our 2024 Holiday Card Artist. She is at Lakewood Elementary. Mia, are you a 7th grader this year? Yes. And you're at Hurst-Euless Junior High, is that correct? This is amazing. Check out the color, and this was done with chalk. Is that correct, Mia? Yeah, really hard and difficult to work with chalk. She did an amazing job with the shading on that. And that card will be represented across the district on our district holiday card.
Congratulations to Mia and to all the finalists. We know it's a hard decision for the panel to come up with a winner every year, but it's fantastic to have so many fantastic choices, so congratulations. Next, we will be recognizing the Christmas providers. Ms. Force?
Hi, good evening, everyone. So for the past 39 years, Christmas Providers has worked to support students and families in the HEB ISD and Birdville ISD school districts. In HEB, we partner mostly with our secondary students, as our elementary are taken care of primarily by Six Stones. And Christmas Providers has a kind of unique model. They do an Adopt a Family program, so they match providers with families. Those providers get a list of things that students are interested in as far as gift ideas. They adopt the whole family. Not only do they provide gifts for all of the children in the family, and sometimes for adults too, but they also provide a gift card for food where they can go to Kroger's and buy, milk, eggs, butter, those types of things. They also receive a box of food donations, and we are very excited to have them as a partner for the last 39 years. They really do a lot for our students and our community, and we wanted to take a moment to thank them for their continued support tonight. So Christmas Providers, come on up.
All right, thank you, Christmas Providers. I'm going to pause about 30 seconds. I know there's a lot of families who came to see their kids, so if you guys would like to sneak out now would be the great time. So you can get home and get to school tomorrow. And Ms. Hollander, we're going to be ready for open forum number 1. We have one card for open forum number 1 this evening, and it's Vince Puente, speaking about the TAD board. Mr. Puente, you can just come up here, and you'll have 3 minutes. It'll be up on the screen, and it's all yours.
All right, good evening, trustees and superintendent. Appreciate the time being here. My name is Vince Puente. I own a local business called Southwest Office Systems, and I am the current chairman of the board of directors for Tarrant Appraisal District. I am here asking for you to consider allotting a portion of your votes for TAD board member to myself. I understand how this board is supporting Mr. Campos. I support him as well. I'm looking forward to working with him. But here are the facts as they lay out as one of the last day of the voting. There's 4 school districts left, y'all being one of those 4. I visited 3 of them tonight. As the vote stands now, Blaylock is in, Pena is in, Mr. Campos will be in without a doubt already, but with your vote, sure he's in. And Mr. Alfred will be in with Carroll ISD's votes. So that leaves 1 slot for 2 people that are numerically able to get this position. That is myself and Mrs. Burgess. And there's a great deal of difference between Ms. Burgess and myself. Upon a few months ago on the board, I influenced our board to reduce our 2024 budget that was offered. By my first few months on the board, I influenced the board to reduce the 2024 budget that was offered by staff to be reduced, which had never been done before. The prior board was pretty much a rubber stamp board. I'm not a rubber stamp kind of guy because I own a business, and you just don't run a business that way. In the last half of 2023, I was a critical board member that reshaped the leadership of TAD staff and the hiring of the new chief appraiser. Ms. Burgess was in full support of the prior chief appraiser, the leadership structure that was in place, as well as never asking for any kind of reduction in operating costs. In January this year, my TAD board peers elected me as the chairman of the board. They could have elected any board member, including Ms. Burgess. I believe I've shown bold leadership in the reshaping of TAD, as well as engaging the challenges such as the cyber attack this spring, of which $0 was paid to the attacker. This summer, I brought balance and common sense to the conversation of the 2025 reappraisal plan, which I'm sure you're very aware of, and help influence the outcome to be on a 2-year plan rather than the original 3-year plan that was presented. For the past 2 months, I have brought focus to how each ISD is appearing to perform relative to the PVS, or the property value study. I've had the chief appraiser bring that report each month. I have publicly stated that I will, if I continue on the board, there will be a review again in January of all the school districts of the PVS, and in February, I will call for a vote of reappraisal of any given district that is in a position of filling the PVS. As a business person, regardless of charter, private, homeschooling, without strong ISDs, Tarrant and the surrounding areas will not have healthy growth. ISDs are critical to the infrastructure of the community. I do not want any ISD to fail that test. But without your vote, I may not be the member that helped make that happen. As for 2025 reelected, it appears that once again I'll be voting as chairman, which represents the respect of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Puente.
And balance.
We're out of time.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Merry Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
All right, board, we are on item 6.01, consider approval of donations for the December work session regular board meeting, presentation of certificates of appreciation. I'll accept a motion.
I move the board approve the December 2024 donations as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the December 2024 donations as presented. Please vote. And that motion passes. At this time, item 7.01, we will pass out certificates of appreciation to those making donations. So I will turn it over to Ms. Cole.
Okay, this evening we have a grand total of donations of $8,513.68. So we want to say thank you to this community for always supporting. The first donation will be presented by board member Andy Cargile to Textron for Bel Air Elementary, $3,978 donation to be used to provide STEM and educational supplies for the students at Bel Air. Erica Martin, Gary Oglin are here to accept, and Andy Garcia. Mr. Cargo also has a certificate for Allstate Foundation that goes to Hurst-Hills Elementary School. It's a $500 donation to be used to purchase items and supplies for the students and staff at Hurst-Hills Elementary. Rachel Thornberry is here to accept the certificate. Next up is Board Member Dawn Jordan Wells, a certificate for Mena Waba LLC to South Euless Elementary, $1,224.48. This is a donation to provide lunch for the staff on October 31st, Professional Development Day. It helped our teachers stay focused on training and goals and to show appreciation for all that they do. Fadi Ado and Meni Waba will accept the certificate of appreciation. Thank you so much. Also, Miss Wells has a certificate for Uncommon Church that is a $611.20 donation to South Euless Elementary to provide food and snacks for the staff to show appreciation for all they do for the students. It was also used to help purchase sound-reducing headphones for the Fosse students who may experience discomfort due to loud noises. Fadia Doe also, and Barbara Stickney will accept the certificate of appreciation. And last but not least, Board Member Fred Campos has a certificate for Rebecca Blagg to STEM and School Libraries Department, $2,200 donation of 120 rolls of 3D printing filament. Wow, that will enable 3D printing in classrooms at all levels, junior high and high school. Kira Elledge and Rebecca Blagg. Kira was here. Will accept the certificate of appreciation. Dr. Johnson's going to step in.
Thank you again to all those making donations this month. We really appreciate your help, and we couldn't do all the things we do in HEB without you, so thank you again. All right, so at this time, the board will be adjourning into closed session pursuant to Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551. The board will adjourn into closed session pursuant to sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.076. At this time, the board will reconvene into open session. Item 10.01, consider approval of Harwood Junior High principal. I'll accept a motion.
I move the board approve Cameron Ramirez as the principal of Harwood Junior High for the 2025-26 school year.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve Cameron Ramirez as principal of Harwood Junior High School for the 2025-2026 school year. Please vote. And that motion passes. Congratulations, Ms. Ramirez. We always like to give you an opportunity to introduce anybody you have here. So,
Thank you. I have my husband, Ugo, and my mom, and then my assistant principal from Lakewood, who's like family to me, and Lakewood's like family, so here. I'm a crier, I'm sorry. I'm very excited. I'm really excited. Thank you.
congratulations. All right. Item 11.01. Does anybody have anything they wish to be removed from the consent agenda? And I'll accept a motion.
I move the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the consent agenda as presented. Please vote. And that motion passes. We're ready for reports and presentations. Item 12.01, disbursements for the month of November 2024. Were there any questions on this? 12.02, report on employments, resignations, and retirements. Any questions on this? All right, 12.03, district-wide intruder detection audit report findings. Mr. Phillips?
Good evening again, everyone. So, in keeping with our reports on the district random intruder audits, as you know, that started in the 2022 school year, and they are now in full swing now. This is part. I expect this not to change. I mean, they've hired positions for these jobs. So we have had 14 of our schools have completed audits this year so far. I reported back to you at the facilities meeting in October of one of the failed audits, which was because of a door log, or that one was because of an actual door that had malfunctioned and was not working. It was fixed that day, but we needed to get it on a regular business meeting, so that's why that one is on there. Hurst-Euless is on there twice from the last meeting, and then now again this meeting. So that was the October 1st Hurst-Euless. On November 12th, Shady Oaks Elementary received an audit. The district safety officer was provided complete report findings from TSSC for Shady Oaks. Corrective actions were required for not being able to provide a weekly door log. Even though the weekly door check process was in place due to a change in staff, there was a miscommunication of where and how the log should be documented. Corrected action included a refresher training for staff, and the training was conducted. This will be documented and provided to the school safety center. So, with the new AP over there, they were doing the locks, or they were doing the door checks every week. In fact, they were doing more, but they didn't have a standard documentation in place, so she was unable to provide that. On November 13th, LD Bell School received an audit. This was provided. Findings were provided. LD Bell had corrective actions required for 2 exterior doors on portable buildings, and basically, since Bell is not completely confined with a fence, If there's any portable doors open, that includes basically a failure of an exterior door lock, even though it's not to the main building. So those doors were propped open because of the heat and the weather, and then that was addressed with the staff, and that has been corrected. And then the last one, on December 3rd, Wilshire Elementary received an audit. Provided findings from that. The corrective actions that were required for one exterior door that failed to secure, the maintenance department was immediately contacted to replace the lock and adjust the tension on the door. I have appealed this one just because the door was in a secure area of the outside of the school where we have the fencing now. But the auditor went up and pushed the door from the inside, which is not what the auditors are supposed to do. They're supposed to walk up to exterior doors. So I had a conversation with the auditor last week, and she said, yes, that's correct. We're not supposed to do that, but your door still failed. So I had to document it. So there's an appeal process for that we're going through. But it really wasn't anything that the school had done incorrectly or wrong. So, but those were the only ones that we have right now. So they have about half of our schools done by the end of this semester, which I don't expect any more audits in December this week. So they'll kick back up again in January, and we'll have the second half in the spring. Any questions on those?
Dan, I have a question. Is there a limitation on if you get too many, something happens? If we get like 40?
No, sir.
This is just a report given?
It is a report for us to stay on top of what the school's requesting.
Okay.
There are no penalties for it, but we've been very consistently staying in the 80% and higher range, and we're still above the rest of the state on that.
So it's not yet?
Not yet. All right, thank you all.
All right, we're ready for action items. We had no items removed from the consent agenda, so 13.02, consider approval of the 2025-2026 official school calendar. Dr. Norgard?
You did receive a full update last Friday, but just wanted to be sure if there were any questions on the survey feedback that we got on our two school calendar options.
Thank you for starting on a Wednesday.
Yeah, any other questions on the calendar? I'll accept a motion.
I move the board approve the 2025-2026 official school calendar as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the school board to approve the 2025-2026 official school calendar as presented. Please vote. That motion passes. Consider approval of financial statements for the months of September and October 2024. Mr. Williams?
Okay, good evening. So this is our first meeting to look at our financial statements from the current school year. And as you know, in December, we're doing a 2-month look back. So you're going to be looking at what you have in your packets is September and October. But we will just go over October because obviously September is included in that. So and keep from being redundant. So we're going to start off with the financial statements from October. The general fund balance, we had a balance of $187,962,403. That represents revenues over expenditures in the amount of $9,659,119. That's a little unusual because this time of year typically we'll see expenditures greater than revenues because of the way we receive our payments from TEA, and we haven't really started receiving our tax revenue yet. But this year we actually did receive revenue from TEA that got booked, so we're ahead of the schedule here. Total expenditures as of 10/31, we're at 18.36% of the budget, which is below the 20% we would expect to see this time of year. So that fund is performing as expected. The general fund expenditure matrix, you're looking at payroll of $30,457,536 for the period, which is currently at 76.6%. As we progress throughout the year, this number will go up, but other expenditures at the beginning of the year kind of skew that number. We'll end up landing at 87% by year end for payroll. Utilities were at $621,564. That was 1.6%. Instructional supplies, we're at 882,445, that's 2.2%. And then we have other expenditures of 3,108,231, which were at 7.8%. That's a fairly high number, not normal, but that you got to keep in mind that does include $3 million in property insurance premiums. So it's definitely skewing that number a little bit. Child Nutrition Services Fund, we have a fund balance of $6,733,819. That is represents expenditures greater than revenues in the amount of $184,807. Like I said just a few minutes ago, that is normal for this time of year because we spend a lot of money at the beginning of the year and then our revenues start coming in a little bit later. The department continues to operate well with a normal amount of turnover and unfilled openings. Total expenditures as of 10/31 were at 18.24% of budget, which is under the 20% we typically see, so that budget is performing as expected as well. Debt service fund, we have a fund balance of $25,209,148. That represents revenues over expenditures in the amount of $960,442, because obviously we haven't made any debt service payments this year yet. The first one will be due February 15th in the amount of $18,338,525. The second and final debt service payment will be due in August in the amount of $43,104,400 for a total debt service owed for this year of $62,033,800. Tuition-based pre-K fund, we have a fund balance of $455,234. That represents revenues over expenditures in the amount of $115,084. We've received 29.87% of the budget for the current period, as of the current period. Total expenditures were at 17.54% as of 10/31. Again, that's under the 20% we typically see, and so that program is performing as it should also. Special revenue funds, which is all of our state and federal revenue funds, as of 10/31, those were at 13.72%. That number is well below the 20%, but as I say every meeting, that's because a lot of these funds roll over each and every year. So all of these funds are tracking as expected. Campus Activity Fund, have a fund balance of $3,649,170. That's revenues over expenditures in the amount of $286,742. Revenues were at $756,767, while expenditures were at $470,024 for this reporting period. And then as we move forward, we'll start kind of doing a comparison of how that changes. But these funds are performing as expected also. The Series 2024 Bond Fund, that has a fund balance of $570,028,391. That's expenditures over revenues in the amount of $2,873,953. And of course, this is our what the revenue for this fund, other than interest income. The only way to get additional revenue is for us to sell bonds, which we won't do that again probably till midsummer of 2026, as these funds dwindle down as we are paying for our current projects that we're doing. And as you note, we didn't have a 2018 bond fund. It's gone. We did close that out at the end of the year, so don't have to talk about that one anymore. Locally defined capital projects fund, fund balance of $28,279,822. That represents revenues over expenditures of $50,529. That's a little unusual for this fund, but we haven't spent a lot of money out of this fund this early in the year, but we will make up for that, I'm sure. Other than interest income, revenue for this fund, as you know, can only come from the board taking action and us moving money into this fund. So until we have excess funds available that we can do that, and the board decides to do that, the only income you'll see in this fund is just interest income. Of course, these funds are being used for, we're still doing very little finishing up Bel Air Elementary, ongoing safety and security additions, a little bit still paying off Trinity and Bell. the baseball, softball concessions, which we're really at the end of those projects. So those are just about totally done, other than some minor stuff. And then, of course, there is the bus maintenance vehicles as well as the band instruments, which you'll see something a little bit later on. And then as we go forward, we'll have the board look at new projects as we need to that could possibly come out of this fund. And that is it, unless you have some questions.
Any questions on the financial statements? All right, so we'll move down to consider budget transfer amendments requests for consideration. Oh, sorry. Sorry, this is an work session only.
Yeah.
I'll accept a motion.
I move the board approve the financial statements for September and October 2024 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the financial statements for the months of September and October 2024 as presented. Please vote. And that motion passes. Now we can consider approval of budget transfer and amendment request for consideration in December 2024.
Okay, budget transfer and amendment requests are very minimal this month. We do have, the only thing of substantial size is the $70,000 to move from function 11 to 31 for some counseling and evaluation services to be done, that need to be done. That's it.
All right, any questions on the transfers? I'll accept the motion.
I move the board approve the budget transfer and amendment request for December 2024 as submitted.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the budget transfer and amendment request for December 2024 as submitted. Please vote. And that motion passes. 13.05, consider approval of international student travel. Ms. Rhodes.
Good evening. We have a request for international travel for several of our secondary campuses. The first one is Trinity High School going to Berlin, Germany. And the next one is 4 of our junior highs traveling to Lyon, France. And I have Monica here to give us an update about our sister schools.
Good evening. I'm really happy and really excited to tell you that we have a new sister school from Lyon, France. And this time, the sister school is going to be in a partnership with the junior highs. So starting this summer, we are inviting the French students from all the junior highs that have the French clubs to join us in June.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Any questions? Or any questions on the travel? I'll accept the motion.
I move the board approve the international student travel as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the international student travel as presented. Please vote. And that motion passes. Have fun in Germany and France, kids. 13.06, consider approval of elementary class size waiver for the 2024-2025 school year. Ms. Clark?
Yes, we are seeking approval of a class size waiver for North Euless Elementary due to the resignation this fall of a 5th grade teacher. Mrs. Meadows moved a 4th grade teacher up into that spot, so those students would not have yet another long-term sub. This same group of students lost their teacher last year and had a series of substitutes throughout their fourth grade year. And we just happened to not have too many students over the class size ratio in fourth grade. So by moving that teacher up to fifth grade, only put us 5 students for the grade level over the ratio. So 2 students in one class, in 2 classes, and 1 student in another class. So it was a really good solution to a difficult situation.
All right. Any questions on this waiver? I'll accept a motion.
I move that the board.
Go ahead.
I move that the board approve the 2024-2025 request for maximum class size exemption as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the 2024-2025 request for maximum class size exemption as submitted. Please vote. Oh. Chris got logged out. All right, well, that motion passed. 13.8, consider approval and authorize signature on interlocal agreement. 13. Consider approval of memorandums of understanding. Dr. Johnson?
Good evening. So last meeting, there was a question asked about MOUs, and so I wanted to bring this forward and correct the record. So we would like to have a sister school, but we don't have one without your approval. So we're asking you as one of the 5 MOUs that we're bringing forward, and we will be bringing some more in January as we come forward, just to make sure that we're in compliance with the Texas Administrative Code and right the record from last meeting. So what you have in front of you is dual credit TCC, McMurray, which is also a new dual credit partner, Early College High School, a partnership with UNTD for conditional admission for seniors who are on track to graduate for automatic admittance, and then for the sister school from France.
All right, any questions on these MOUs? I'll accept a motion.
I move the board approve the memorandum of understanding as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. The board approve the memorandums of understanding as submitted. Please vote. And that motion passes. Consider approval of authorized signature on interlocal agreements and memorandums of understanding. Dr. Harrington?
Yes, so we're bringing this forward. One of the reasons we ran into the situation on 1307 is many of these are coming to us asking for the signature of the superintendent, which we've learned still needs to be approved by the board. So what we're asking is we will bring all of those to you, but after your approval, I'd like you to authorize the superintendent to sign those MOUs that come to my office. But they will always come to you for approval prior.
Any questions? I'll accept the motion.
I move the board approve Dr. Joe Harrington as an authorized representative to sign interlocal agreements and MOU documents.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve Dr. Joe Harrington as an authorized representative to sign interlocal agreements and MOU documents. Please vote. That motion passes. 13.09, consider approval of change order number 2 for LD Bell High School replacement. Mr. Minor.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I bring to you the consideration of approval for change order number 2 for LD Bell High School replacement. This is actually the change order to phase 0, moving basically money from phase 1 over to phase 0. All this was taken into consideration in advance. They just would like to try to, for the sake of time, be able to move this to phase 0 so we can get started now. We do have a GC that is committed to making sure that we keep the project on time. And so some of this work has actually been performed. So the test piles, we needed to do that so we could get a better understanding and a report so we could get to the GMP for phase 1 and to be able to get to building the building. So that work has already been performed, as well as a lot of the sidewalks is what we needed to be able to get the kids to the portables and from the temporary parking lot and over to the new building, that type of stuff. So that was done. Relocation of construction offices, there was 3 of these moves built into that budget. If all works out well, we're only going to have to do this twice. It'll be the first one and then the second one, and we'll be done. Now, what we are going to ask for is that you take into consideration the change order to change the campus, to amend it to remove the scope for the shot put and discus. We want to review that, take a look at that. It is scheduled in there, but the scope is not exactly what we feel is appropriate for right now. So we'd like to be able to remove that. Removing that out is going to take $334,557.03 out of that total that we're asking for, and that would leave you with $902,604.77. So if we could make a recommendation for that amount, we will then bring back the paperwork to be able to show exactly all that. Do you have any questions?
All right. Are there any questions on this change order?
So just to clarify, when we approved, I remember the date that we did it, but when we approved the bid package for
Yes, sir.
phase 0, the scope wasn't included, but it was included in phase 1.
It included in the
we're
overall
moving
budget.
it from phase 1 to phase 0, but it doesn't change the full
Yes, sir.
price of the
Correct.
project.
Yes.
All right, Josh, so the 323,000, is that the number that you just said?
Yes. That's what we'd like to have removed.
But that includes the nets for the baseball field, too, also. Looks like the shot put was just the 151,349.
Yes, but we can get the nets put back in there, but the thing is, it was tied to the shot put, discus, and because of the same contractor.
Okay.
What I would do is just like we're gonna still have to do the shot put, but it'll be a smaller project, and then other work later in phase 1, I can have that done at that time.
I don't think I understand what you're asking. Are you asking us to change the scope of this change order on the fly?
We'd like to reduce it with a verbal agreement, and then I can bring you back the documented amendment. Yes.
So the recommendation is continue the change order minus the shot put ring and the pieces associated with that.
So if the board approves the smaller change order minus the $323,685, then we can approve that, but me and Chris won't sign that until we get the new document.
Correct.
That shows the correct amount.
Correct.
Can you say the total one more time?
Yes, ma'am. The final total after the amendment would be $902,604.77. 902,604.
From the one that's in the attachment says 12,798,3.3.77.
That was the original amount. Then we take out 334,557.03, and that'll be the remainder.
So what's the reason for removing the shot put, discus, and netting section of this?
The scope was more than what was really needed for that program at this time. Looking into it further, we do not do competition shot discus at the high schools. We do that over at Central Junior High. So it was felt that if we need something of that complexity, and also another part to this is actually going to help us. We do have a FEMA application in right now. This isn't a floodplain. Try not to get too deep into it, but that is one of the things that also is a hang up as well, is they don't like certain things being in the floodplain. This being removed out and only having just the rings is going to help us out a great deal. We verified that today as well.
So in the in the recommendation, rather than saying all the amounts which are not currently planned for the recommended action, can I just say removal of FPR 021? Is that the same thing? Is that the descriptor of that portion of the change order?
I think there's more in that than
I'm
just
trying
that.
to make this easy on us.
Well, I could make a recommendation if you'd like.
I would say recommend the amended change order number 2 in the amount of $902,604.77.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? I'll accept a motion.
I move that the board approve the change order number 02 for LD Bell High School Replacement Campus of $902,604.77 as presented.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the change order number 02 for LD Bell High School Replacement Campus with the amended amount of $902,604.77 as presented. Please vote.
It was me, and the second was
Chris. And that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Item 13.10, consider approval of the 2025-2026 Region 10 ESC Multi-Region Purchasing Cooperative Agreement. Mr. Gerbo?
Mr. Romero, Dr. Harrington, members of the board, thank you once again for the pleasure to present items to you. This item is the traditional participation in Region 10's multi-regional cooperative that they administer on behalf of a number of school districts in the North Texas area. It makes those items that they administer available to us. I think there's about 14 or 15 different things. We participate in about 6 of those, so this allows us to be able to do that. That action is required by interlocal agreement, so this is our annual interlocal agreement for this.
All right, any questions? I'll accept the motion.
I move the board approve the agreement with Region 10 Multi-Region Purchasing Cooperative as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the agreement with the Region 10 Multi-Region Purchasing Cooperative as presented. Please vote. And that motion passes. 13.11, consider approval of CSP 24-25 Emergency Responder Radio Coverage System.
Yes, TEA guidelines require schools to have a adequate radio communication system so that emergency responders can communicate throughout the buildings. And we took a really good run at this back in, Dan, when was it? June, April? And we wrote a wonderful scope of service that for the wrong thing. So, and that was with the use of ChatGPT. So, well, it's a good, useful tool. If you don't, it's as good as what did you put in it? So we realized that we had taken the wrong approach, and we contacted some of our neighboring districts that were doing the same thing and learned the best way of doing this. So 2 things are required before we could even put something out to bid. One, we had to conduct grid tests of all the facilities that were deficient in communication capabilities, and they identified areas in the building where it needed and what equipment would be needed for that. With that, we hired a consultant to write our specifications and put the bid package together so that we could solicit qualified vendors to come out and do that. And they participated, and we got 10 responses, 3 of which were non-responsive. They failed to include information in that was critical to the success of this project. These will be funded by 2 sources of funding, both safety grant related, and there are deadlines that are required for that. So we needed firm schedules and commitments that they were able to do this. So once we narrowed it down to the 7 that had submitted quality responses, we narrowed it down to CMS Wireless as the best response for this.
All right. Are there any questions? I was surprised that there weren't more local companies, that these seem to be spread all over the country, the companies that responded.
Most of them have local presence, or either a regional office or somewhere close by that will perform the services. And many of those bid from a national office. But
all right, I'll accept the motion.
I move that the board approve CSP number 24-25 for the emergency responder radio coverage system to CMS Wireless LLC as presented.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve CSP number 24-25 for the emergency responder radio coverage system to CMS Wireless LLC as presented. Please vote. That motion passes. Consider approval of RFP 24-22 catering and snack services.
Okay. Our current bid for catering and snacks expires December 31st of this year. So this is a replacement bid to secure as many of those vendors who will provide us with our catering and snack services needs.
All right. Any questions on the snacks? All right. I'll accept the motion.
I move the board approve the list of vendors for RFP number 24-22 catering and snack services as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the list of vendors for RFP number 24-22 catering and snack services as presented. Please vote. And that motion passes. 13.13, consider approval of RFP number 24-24 Spiritware Awards, Trophies, and Promotional Items.
This is a similar type of bid that expires at the end of this month, and these are items that we buy on an as-needed basis. We don't know the known quantities. We just, historically, we know we're going to buy these things. So this is an arrangement to do business with the recommended vendors for these items here.
Any questions? I'll accept the motion.
I move the board approve the list of vendors for RFP 24-24 Spiritware Awards, Trophies, and Promotional Items as presented.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the list of vendors for RFP number 24-24 Spiritware Awards, Trophies, and Promotional Items as presented. Please vote. And that motion passes. Next is consider approval of interlocal agreement with Houston ISD for Medicaid billing and claiming services.
The school's health and related services, but you know what is SHARS, is the Medicaid and billing service that we are eligible to report to Medicaid to get reimbursed services that are provided for our students in special ed, special needs students. We are making a change to another system, so that's something you'll get either in January or February, but we've not been able to work out an agreement or schedule training for the special ed staff to be able to use the system. So we need to continue services with Houston ISD. Their agreement expires in December as well. And so for the continued service on a month-to-month basis, they require an agreement. And they'll only write agreements for 1 year because of their process. So there's inserted a termination notice that we can exercise whenever we're ready to transition to the new system. So that's the overview of this. I know there may be other questions related to the mechanics of it, but that's what we're asking you to approve tonight.
Any questions on this agreement? I'll accept the motion.
I move the board approve the interlocal agreement with Houston ISD for SHARS services as presented.
I have a motion and second for the board to approve the interlocal agreement with Houston ISD for SHARS services as presented. Please vote. That motion passes. 13.15, consider approval of visual and performing arts VPA purchase of replacement band instruments.
With the approval of funding to replace our VPA instruments on a regular basis, we turn the VPA department over along with the directors of all those different groups to identify their needs and create lists and submit those to our approved vendors for providing music instruments, and they came up with a pretty good list. Just exhaust almost all $1.5 million of that.
Very
and if
close.
we can find something for $603, whatever that balance is, we may just throw that in. You know. I can find something. She can find something.
Any questions? I'll accept the motion.
I move that the board approve the purchase of replacement band instruments from the identified vendors as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the purchase of the replacement band instruments from the identified vendors as presented. Please vote. That motion passes. Yes. Yeah, so let's go
We'll
shopping.
start spending tomorrow.
All right, 13.16, consider approval of termination agreement for the construction of elementary school replacement campuses.
In November, board approved provisional guaranteed maximum price for the construction of Hurst-Euless Elementary and Wilshire Elementary School with core construction at the amount of $100,592,631, with the understanding that there were a few items that still needed to be negotiated that would affect the guaranteed maximum price to a lower degree. In negotiating those items that we felt needed to be addressed and concessions on our behalf, we weren't able to come to an agreement. So on November the 22nd, we received a termination notice. I believe Mr. Minor received that notice from Core Construction wishing to terminate the agreement per provisions in the document there. So what you have is a worked out a termination agreement for this contract, and with the condition that we'll pay $15,000 per campus in pre-construction services, and we would retain all ownership of any documents related to the pre-construction services and documents related to these projects to date.
All right, any questions? I'll accept the motion.
I move that the board approve the termination agreement with Core Construction Services of Texas and payment of all pre-construction services totaling $45,000 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the termination agreement with Core Construction Services of Texas and payment for all pre-construction services totaling $45,000 as presented. Please vote. that motion passes. Ready for open forum number 2? No cards. Other business, opportunity for board members to request items be placed on future board agendas. Anybody have anything this evening? Okay, 15.02, consider approval of Texas Association of School Boards membership renewal. Looks like the renewal comes at a cost of $11,000. Does anyone have any questions on this renewal? I'll accept the motion.
I move the board approve the membership renewal of the Texas Association of School Boards at a cost of $11,000 as budgeted in the board's budget.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the membership renewal with the Texas Association of School Boards at a cost of $11,000 as budgeted in the board's budget. Please vote. And that passes. 15.03, consider approval of Texas Association of School Boards TASB Legal Assistance Fund membership renewal. Looks like that comes at a cost of $500. Is there any questions on this renewal? I'll accept a motion.
I move the board approve the participation in Texas Association of School Boards Legal Assistance Fund at a cost of $500 as budgeted in the board's budget.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve participation in the Texas Association of School Boards TASB Legal Assistance Fund at a cost of $500 as budgeted in the board's budget. Please vote. And that motion passes. 15.04, consider approval of board resolution regarding electronic signatures for Laserfish products. Let's see. Did anyone have any questions on this item? I'll accept the motion.
I move the board approve HBISD board resolution regarding the authorization of electronic signatures for Laserfish as presented.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the HEB ISD board resolution regarding the authorization of electronic signatures for Laserfish as presented. Please vote. Especially doing construction. Some of those documents require 500 signatures. And that motion passes. 15.05, consider approval of Tarrant Appraisal District Board of Directors discussion amongst the board members. So we obviously have a decision to make. We have our very own Fred Campos running for one of these seats, and we have, I can't find the count.
170. We have 170 votes.
170 votes to divide up however the board sees fit. Does anyone want to discuss anything about this?
I think it makes more sense to give all 170 to our board member, who we know is capable of doing a great job. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah, I agree with you, only with one small adjustment in that I think it's important for us to put votes, at least one vote on other people running, so that if they need to be recalled, we have a say in that.
Okay.
Which would mean the majority of the votes to Fred, but then one on each of several others.
It's
Not
my
all
understanding
of
that,
them, several others. You're not saying like one for everybody except Fred?
No, because if we look at the,
Only ones that can actually be elected.
some are not close to being elected, yeah.
Okay.
So
And-
it'd be a wasted vote, yes.
my understanding on that recall is if you at least cast one vote, then you can be part of nominating a replacement. And so if that does happen, I think the board would like to be part of the process of making a nomination as to whom the new candidate might be.
I knew in some document I saw, it had the list and the totals, which I don't see that here. Like, do we have an updated, do we know which ones that we should put them on?
Yeah,
Yes. So right now, it looks like Wendy Burgess, Mike Alfred, Alan Blaylock, Gloria Pena, and Vince Puente.
One more time, slow. Wendy, just first name.
Wendy Burgess, Mike Alfred, Alan Blaylock, Gloria Pena, and Vince Puente.
Okay. So 165 and 5.
Right.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion? I'll accept the motion.
I move that the board cast 165 votes for Fred Campos, 1 vote for Wendy Burgess, 1 vote for Mike Alfred, 1 vote for Alan Blaylock, 1 vote for Gloria Pena, and 1 vote for Vince Puente for the Board of Tarrant Appraisal District.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to cast 165 votes for Fred Campos, 1 vote for Wendy Burgess, 1 vote for Mike Alfred, 1 vote for Alan Blaylock, 1 vote for Gloria Pena, and 1 vote for Vince Puente for the Board of Tarrant Appraisal District. Got that all, Ty? I do. All right. Please vote. And that motion passes. Congratulations, Fred. For our votes. All right, 15.06, Board Goal 3, 89th Legislative Session Advocacy Matrix.
All righty, well, this is the Fred and Dawn show. We met with Lydia last week and updated the board advocacy matrix. What you'll see under legislator are with the lines through, and the new person are the people who just recently won their elections. Under date discussed, that used to say date met, I believe, and so we've changed it to say date discussed because you don't necessarily have to have met with them to have the discussion. And a way to track the bills, we'll still put the bill number there so we can track the bills and annotate if they were for or against. We know that Fred and Julie are going to DC in January. And we'll be talking to U.S. senators and representatives, so we thought it made more sense to have the two of you be the board member liaisons for those individuals. The other ones are what we thought would be a good fit. If you think that you want to be assigned to someone differently, please let us know now.
So let me fill in the blanks and back up a second. Obviously, this board takes advocacy very serious on every level, including TAD. We have brought this down to a one-pager, which I think is really nice. I think when we meet with your legislators, it needs to be, we've been lengthy in the past, it needs to come together on a real focused note. And then, yes, we have gotten together with Lydia, and Dawn and I have come up with this spreadsheet, and we paired you up in 2x2s kind of thing, and got it in a situation where 1 or 2 of you can get together, and these are suggestions. This is not inked in stone. And to Dawn's point, if there's somebody else that you know or have a relationship with. Also, too, we did update them in red for some of the legislators that have changed.
And also note that on the matrix, based on the priorities, it's broken down that way. So like the first grouping says increased basic allotment with bullet points, so to make it easier in discussing with your legislator. And then the next one, says the next big bullet item, fully fund state requirements, and then HB3 safety measures, student health, mental health needs, and then the TEC Chapter 37 discipline, law, and order. So they're broken down based on the priorities.
Have these legislative priorities been provided to any legislators yet?
No.
Not yet.
That is one thing that you would want to do first.
Right.
With whoever you are being assigned to or choosing to be assigned to.
So I just want to make a point of clarification in that even though we're assigned to a particular legislator, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're not going to be speaking to one of the others.
Correct. And to that effect, on the activities chart that goes around, again, on there is where you can annotate who you talk to and what date you talk to them.
Yeah, the board activity chart. And if you have any communications with any legislators, it would be good to reflect that on the board activity chart going forward.
Yep,
Yeah.
as we have done. Any questions, or are you all okay with it as it's listed? Do you
I
want to
think
make
it
any
looks good. You
changes?
guys did good work.
Okay.
Yeah, looks like a lot of work, so thank you for putting it together.
Good starting point, at least.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, legislative sessions are a living thing, so things move, and you just have to go with the flow, so. All right. We don't need to vote on this one. We don't need a second closed session, is that correct?
Sure.
And so I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned.
Remember to head back to the admin conference room.
Second. Yes. I thought we needed a second there, but.
Are y'all going somewhere for the holiday?
We are going to Manchester on Friday, but then we're coming